Hi, my name's Michael and I'm one of the speech pathologists at Sensational Kids. Now, speech pathologists go by a number of different names, so you might hear us referred to as speech therapists, speech language therapists, or just plain speechies. But you know what? Maybe we should even be called communication therapists, because speech pathologists do a lot more than just speech and language. We can help kids if they have vocal difficulties, speech difficulties, language difficulties, fluency or stuttering difficulties, and we can even help kids with swallowing difficulties. Furthermore, we can help kids with all sorts of communication even before they start speaking. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the building blocks of communication. That is, the skills that children need to develop before they even start talking. As you can see on my diagram, I've got single words and word combinations, so saying 2 or 3 words together at the top. But all of these other skills are important for children to learn before they can even get to saying their first words. Some children might have difficulties with some of these different building blocks, which might set them back on saying their first words and their word combinations. And we can help children with this at Sensational Kids. So first off, we've got play skills. These are very important for children because that's when they start to first learn how to interact with the environment around them. Symbolic play is the ability for a child to recognise that toys can represent real things, such as a toy phone can represent a real phone. So a kid might pretend to talk on their toy phone. This is important because later on kids need to realise that words can also represent real objects. Otherwise they won't learn to use those words for those objects. It's important for children to have attention to people and objects. Now, we need to be able to attend to people for an extended period of time to be able to communicate with them. Otherwise, we might miss half of the message. Now, early attention skills might be attention to an object or attention to someone playing with an object, and they're early skills for kids to learn before they can learn to attend to speech sounds and someone talking to them. Object permanence is the understanding that when an object is no longer in sight, that it still exists. This starts to develop at about 6 months of age and is noticeable in games like peekaboo, when the kid still knows that even though they can't see you, you're still around. So object permanence is important because if a kid doesn't know that an object always exists, they won't learn the word for it. So cause effect is, if I do something, something will happen. So this is done early on with pushing food away that they don't want. If they do that, they don't get the food. And this is an important skill because later on, they can learn that by saying, I don't want the food, they won't get the food they don't want. Means ends is doing something to get something, such as standing on a chair to get to the table. And again, this is an important skill because then kids later learn that they can use words to get what they want. Babbling and sounds are really important for early communication. It's a very important type of early communication. Kids practicing their sounds, practicing their babbling is important for them to learn their later skills for saying words. Good eye contact is an important part of social communication. Prolonging eye contact helps children get more information, which goes back to our attention to people again. Prolonging eye contact helps them get more information such as body language, gestures, and facial expressions. It is important for kids to have good eye contact with familiar adults and other children. It is also important for kids to be able to have eye contact with an object, with a person, back to the object and back to the person, because this is an important part of communication. Turn-taking skills are very important because in regular adult communication, we're always taking turns. I'll say something, you'll say something, and then vice versa back to me. Early turn-taking skills could involve blowing raspberries. I blow a raspberry, you blow a raspberry. I'll do something and wait, and then you'll do something while I'm not doing anything. These early turn-taking skills are really important, like I said, for later communication, because turn-taking is important in later communication. Motivation to communicate is very important, and this comes back to our cause, effect, and means ends. If a child doesn't have motivation to learn how to communicate, or they don't realise how communication is important, they won't be motivated to learn how to communicate. They won't try and learn because they don't know that they need to. So it's really important for kids to have that motivation for them to develop those communication skills. Gestures are a really important skill as well. Gestures, kids communicate with gesture before they communicate with words. They'll lift their arms up to say pick me up, or they'll wave hello goodbye. It's also shown that kids will combine gestures with single words before they will combine words together, and that gestures are a good indication of later language use. For example, kids might say mummy and lift their hands up, which means mummy lift me up, whereas later on they'll say mummy up. Imitation is a really important skill because that's how we learn new language and we learn new speech sounds. Imitation of sounds, actions and words. So early imitation could be imitating someone rolling a ball or imitating hand movements. And these are good skills that then kids can transfer to imitating sounds and imitating words that other people are saying to help them learn. Comprehension is obviously important as well because we need to understand language before we can use language. And then, once we have all of those building blocks, as you can see, we're up to our single words and our word combinations. Hooray! Our kids are talking. If your child is having difficulty with some of these early building blocks of communication, we can provide them support and give you strategies to help them. This might involve helping a kid with their attention and building eye contact, or it might be with another kid, helping them support their gestures, imitating sounds and words, and just generally being noisy. So, for early communicators that aren't yet using their single words or word combinations, there is definitely support and strategies that we can provide for them. Thank you.